believe the next one was the emergency drill report. This is in your packet also. I can quickly, on Wednesday, October 21st, State Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection held a statewide tabletop exercise to simulate state and municipal preparation, response, and recovery to a severe weather event. To bring that all in context, what happened was the state, when they decided to do this program, they wanted to bring schools a little bit closer involved in what happens in a statewide emergency or a city emergency, and to be sure that our plan, our safety and security plan, actually worked, and how well it worked, and possibly to find any faults or deficiencies in it. The participants were the police chief, members of the Torrington Police Department, fire department, ambulance, hospital, area health, street department, Red Cross, the mayor, the superintendent of schools, our school bus company, myself, and the local director of emergency management and homeland security. And during this tabletop exercise, to begin with, a few days earlier, we started getting reports from the state as an exercise that severe weather was coming. There were severe outbreaks in the Midwest traveling our way, and we, as a group, had to come up with different ideas of what we were going to be doing. Part of my responsibility was to ensure that, for instance, our generators were supplied with gas. They were all working properly. We had water in all the schools in case of an emergency, these type of things that were happening. So once the day of the exercise took place, we opened up the EOC, which is the Emergency Operations Center at the Torrington Fire Department, and all the people that I mentioned were involved in that, and we began to start the exercise with an F1 tornado heading to Torrington and possibly impacting one of our schools. The exercise did continue to grow. The tornado did briefly touch the East School as the exercise happened. We had East School involved in the exercise, through communication. They knew that it was an exercise, but they did perform a drill, an evacuation drill to the lower levels of the building in case it was an actual tornado happening there. And different aspects of the whole operation held throughout the city. For instance, if there were flooded streets, if there was a fire somewhere, and each department had to respond to those emergencies during the drill and show that we could respond with the resources that we had. And then toward the end of the drill, of course, there was our reunification process. And once again, it was brought center stage that the school safety and security plan to see if it worked and how well it did work. And I was very confident that we performed very well. And the city director, Homeland Security Director, the Chief of Police, and the fire department, fire chief, they are actually going to be doing a debrief and report to the state on how well or how bad, where the deficiencies were, and where we exceeded expectations. So once I get that report, I'll share that with you. But I just wanted to share what happened. And once again, this is on October 21st.
Yes.
Are we looking at how each building handles the facility? Our perspective? Each of our different sites, how they went through this process?
Each site was relatively involved in the operation, because once the severe weather warning was sent out, we would automatically go into a shelter in place. That would be our first move for safety for all the students. So anyone that would be outside playing in the you know, the playgrounds or wherever, any outside sporting activities or whatnot, they're all brought inside.
Now I'm looking at just by individual schools.
You mean from an evaluation?
Evaluation standpoint, like these 4 schools had it right on, this one maybe didn't have it so on.
Right, was it an
They all
overall?
did.
It wasn't an overall picture of that, it was an overall picture of how well the city was going to, respond to that particular event. Because it was only a tabletop exercise, the confinement was, each school was struck by a tornado, for instance. And the other schools, although they're sheltered in place, we may have opened up the middle school as a shelter for an actual public shelter, as the Vogel Wetmore School is also. But we would have to show where those children were at the time, if we did open up the shelter, and how we could separate sheltered people from our student population. So all those things, yes, did take place, and all the answers we hoped were there.
One of the takeaways for us was also that we determined that we thought it would be a good idea as we get, more settled with some of the other things we're working on, is to do tabletop types of things for each of the schools to really look at their individual. This was really, how does the school district interface with all of the other providers and responders? So it was really more, at this point, a test of our whole city system. But one of the things that Dave and I took away is, this would be a really good thing for us to do so that we can actually test at each school. So that was one of the things that we came away with. We also came away with a couple of small things. We could do this better, like, for example, making sure in each school that we have a book where we have a printout of Power School if we can't get there. So if we have to accommodate for kids, or we need to understand, have contact information or what have you, and we don't have the system available, that might be something you might want to have in your office. Is a book that's got your kids in it, you grab it when you go out, and that way you can check it. We have bus lists, so if you have to move kids, to different places relative to buses, we have that. So there were some things that we came away with to say, there are places we could beef it up. So that was a really valuable activity for us to do, but definitely we felt that at some point we do want to test the schools. How do we do that?
Thank you. Mr. Kister.
Thank you, and thank you for moving me earlier in the agenda. I normally would have brought this up under school improvement THS oversight, but I thought that by then there'd be a smaller audience, our attention might be flagging, and at the very least, we're rushing out the door. So I do appreciate this early opportunity, even though it violates the vaudeville principle of never following the trained seals. But thank you, Dave, for separating me from the trained seals this evening. School Improvement Committee has invited the Causeway Agency to come and make a presentation to what will be a combined meeting of the School Improvement and THS Oversight Committees. We're talking, and we have for a long time in various parts, the Oversight Committee, the Student Governance Council, around this board as a whole, and other places, talked about, for lack of a better word, marketing towards public schools, particularly with an eye toward presenting the high school in a more positive light. And that is what this meeting, Monday night the 30th, is going to be about. And I would like to invite everybody to come to that, even though a lot of people do show up at those subcommittee meetings. But even if you don't usually show up, I would appreciate you coming there, because this is going to be one where two purposes, working both ways. The committee, the assembled group, and I've invited the School Governance Council. Mr. Marchand has been kind enough to say that he's going to get the word out to his group, and I intend to get the PTO notified and involved, see if they want to come, so that we can express to them the sorts of things that we would want emphasized, the sorts of things that we would hope they could do for us. They then would be telling us what they have done in other systems and might do for us. And the reason that the timing is, in this case, late November, but early December was the intention, the beginning of the budget season. Because if we want to do something, it's going to cost money to do it, and we need to start talking about it now and start looking at it in terms of the other things that are going to be screaming for money during the process, and just to see if this is something that we are committed to doing and can afford to do, quite frankly. So just took this part of the agenda to invite everybody to make sure everybody understands it that way. If you have questions, please get in touch with me through the torrington.org email or telephone or whatever you want, please. And this would include students too, if you want to come, please do it. Thank you.
John, just what is
Sure.
the time?
6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. That will be posted with an agenda, et cetera.
Okay, thank you. Superintendent and Director of Student Service searches. The request is, we haven't started the superintendent search. We had discussed talking about starting that at the mid-year level to have someone in place for July 1. The Director of Student Services, we have not had a tremendous amount of response to this position. We have an, pet zero. That's not enough. We have appointed an interim, and we have, the search that's out there current, or the job posting that's out there currently states that the position is available immediately. It has been requested by the superintendent to myself to talk to all of you to extend the Director of Student Services interim position to June 30th and open up a search for that position similar to what we're planning on doing for the superintendent search. Because we're not getting any self-response. I think we need to have somebody help us find somebody, or to coerce somebody to come into the system after the way we've behaved tonight. So, I guess, just an unofficial, are we looking to do this? Is that something that, do we want to just keep it up there as, it's just an open-ended thing, or do we want to do a concentrated search? I mean, we're not getting any reaction, yes.
I'd like to discuss the positions in general, because I think we weren't positive that what we have is actually the right structure.
I think that a good study of that would help define that to get a candidate.
So I agree with Mr. Wilson, holding the interim position and deciding what the board really wants for that department, and not jumping into something.
I'm going to agree with Fiona on this one. That department's been a disaster for years. Let's get a hold on the department and figure out what we're doing with it. And, I'm sorry, Paula, I know, I just don't know the last name. Let's make sure she's here through June 30th, keeping things running smoothly. And hopefully by January, February, we'll have a better understanding, as we now at least have a grasp on what special ed is doing. So within the next 2 months, I think we'll have a better understanding of the structure of special ed, at which point we can actually put together a logical plan for how it should be handled. Should it still be student services? Should it be split apart again for a different organization reasons, which may turn out to be the better choice? For that, I'd rather have the information. Again, I don't want scatterguns.
Everyone else in agreement with that?
I'm agreeing with this.
Moving on to our next item of the board clerk search. Now that we have some financial information, this was presented also on Monday night at the Personnel Committee. We only had $3,500 slotted for the board clerk stipend. We've used a little better than a quarter of that already. It works out to 9 hours a month is all that we have budgeted for. So at the subcommittee levels, we're not going to be able to have a board clerk there. It's going to be back to the way it used to be, where the administrator and the subcommittee chair will be responsible for the agendas and the minutes. And we are posting the position, and we are also going to reach out to Kelly Services to try to get us through the point if we get a staff member or someone from the public that volunteers to do the position. But now that we know that there isn't any money to try to increase that level of service, we're gonna have to go back to the way it used to be. Curriculum for drawing, one. I guess the first question for this is, he's coming to the table. Oh, sure, you're brave enough.
I figured you got no more ammunition left.
Is this a new course or just a renaming?
This is a new course.
New course?
Thank you for this opportunity. We're trying, the THS Art Department, myself, Victor Legier, and Cynthia Amoroso have been trying for years to get more opportunity for our younger students to take an art course. Right now, about 80% of the choices available are entered through the Intro to Art course, which is our prerequisite for the others, which is a full-year course. And freshmen have a hard time getting into that. Sophomores have a hard time getting into that because they don't have many options in their schedule. All 4 years here, freshmen, sophomore, junior, seniors, have to take gym and health credit, which is a half-year course, and then they have the other half of the year free for something. And the guidance department would appreciate more opportunities for a half-year course. The Intro to Art course presently is a full-year course. So we thought we'd open up more opportunities for students to take a half-year course with this Drawing 1 course. So we're trying to get more freshmen in earlier, because we're finding a lot of our more talented students don't find their talent until they're juniors and seniors, when their schedules start to open up and they take that Intro to Art course. So we would like to find that potential earlier.
Questions?
Is there enough room in the current schedule with the current staffing to support this?
Yeah, we could probably make that. We wouldn't have to hire any more staff. There's 3 of us presently, 3 full-time.
Yes.
I have a question, this is more of a procedural matter, so I'm going to direct this more to Linda. Our new course adoption policy says that superintendent of schools should review course proposals no later than mid-November. New course proposals found to be acceptable shall be presented for review at the December Board of Ed meeting, with the board taking action on the proposal at its January meeting. So I'm just wondering why we're kind of jumping the gun on this one.
I honestly don't know.
I-
I was not familiar with that particular policy, and please forgive me that I don't know all of the policies as yet. It was put on the agenda, and that was not one of my additions, so I honestly don't know.
I think I could address that. The course handbook for next year's selection process gets printed in the next couple of weeks, and we would like to be in it for 2016-17.
I think I'm getting a new policy.
Yeah, it's getting bounced to you, because
What happened, I'm sorry, what happened last year though, because last year we had new courses come forward, they didn't come forward in November.
that's correct, and they were offered this
They came
year.
later than that, and they were offered this year, so, and this is not your fault at all.
Sure.
And no reflection at all on what you're proposing, just merely procedural, my question is, because last year what happened was, the courses were brought to us, and we were expected to approve them at that same meeting.
Right.
Which the policy is written in a way to prevent that from happening, so that the board could have a month to review the courses and ask all those questions without putting a teacher on the spot and then being forced to figure that out on the spot the whole day. I would prefer that we bump the action on this item up more in line with what our policy says. I don't know the answer to the course thing. It wasn't a problem last year, so I'm not sure what the difference is.
Do we know when the course manual is gonna be printed, Eric?
I was told by,
Get it directed to, Eric's sitting right behind you there.
Yeah, next couple of weeks, it will be.
John?
Well, we could put it in the course manual, the selection manual, and then if it doesn't pass the Board of Ed in December, just not let kids sign up for it. It's not included in the options for sign up.
Yeah, I mean, the manual itself is more informational purpose, so if we do add the courses, like you said, in January, we can always add inserts or make that available for the students when we do the registration, so.
Are there any other new course proposals?
We will be having one at the, we want to have another one at the next board meeting, yes.
Then wouldn't it make sense to hold off and discuss them all at once, decide them all at once?
Don't run away on us. Is, Your standard procedures to start registration in January?
Correct.
So you want the course manual out?
Early enough so the students can review it, parents can review it, printed.
Would it make sense then, bless you, to address the policy and the procedure for you guys bringing courses to us, to get them to us in September, so that we can vote on them in October and you can include them in your manual in November, so you don't have to go through that?
October and November.
It could even be October and November and then have them.
That helps me to inform the staff as well if they have any proposals they want to put forward too, so.
Just to- this is also, it's difficult for us, I think, to make a decision on, excuse me, the 2 courses being proposed last year, there was more than that. And if there's budgetary implications, if there's only 1 being proposed, we might decide, yeah, we think we can float that, but if there's 4, then maybe not. And if one person proposes this month, another proposes the next month, then it just, we can't really vet that all out fully.
Is the other course an art department course?
No, the other course is an ECE course for world languages.
So then that would be presented next month and voted on in January?
By policy, yes.
By current policy. Next policy meeting is December 3rd,
Yeah, but that wouldn't get approved by the board until December
till
18th.
December 18th.
Or 16th.
But there's a lot of courses in the book that aren't actually, don't turn out to be available.
Correct.
So the question is, you want it approved now so it can get in the book.
Correct, for next year.
But I think John's idea, to put it in the book, and if it's not approved by the board, then it can't be offered.
That's a half step.
But at least it's in there.
Right.
Doesn't that make our information kind of inaccurate though?
50% of the courses in the book aren't available.
Maybe we should change that. I mean, it grossly misrepresents what we offer. You know, it's not good.
This would be the least of our problems.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Legier regarding the work?
Well, what is the curriculum? Yeah, no, that.
What is your question, Mr. Smith? It's a half-year course, so they would be looking, if I understand it correctly, to offer it spring and fall,
Could be,
if the demand is there.
could be. Right now, we have a plethora of intro to ceramics being offered. Overflow, tons of that, over and over again. And we'd like to siphon some of those kids off into a foundational drawing class.
Why not expand the other course,
Expand which course?
pottery course, you said?
We have a intro to ceramics and we have an advanced ceramics. So there are some kids who would take a further advancement in ceramics.
But that's where the demand is.
The
That's
demand,
the only one offered, right?
it's not the only half-year course offered. We have a art tech course and some craft courses that are half-year.
But you're saying that the art course would, students would take the art course even if the ceramics course was offered?
Yeah, it's just another choice, right?
Any other questions? Thank you for coming.
Very good.
All right. That brings us to action item A, which is the approval of the curriculum for the Drawing One course. Do we have a motion to not have that and push that off to a further meeting, or do we have a motion to approve it?
I'd like to push it over. I second this
Okay, Bill, Jess, to move this to the December meeting, or do you want to move it to?
Whatever, however we're dealing with the other course, I think it makes sense to follow.
Yeah, we should follow policy.
I think we should follow
Currently.
So move it to January?
They're talking it, we'll have it presented in.
To be presented in December and then voted on in
Yeah.
January, right?
Right.
So in December, we should have all classes that we're supposed to be approving, or you guys.
Right, yeah. And then we'll look at policy too.
Yeah, I mean, if the school needs the approvals earlier, then
Yeah, I mean,
We
we
should
only,
be doing
like I
that
said,
already.
there's only one more course on my radar, and it's already prepared, and I think I sent it in to Michael already. So, I mean, we can stay status quo for now with the procedures, make the students aware that, there will be the possibility of an approval of these courses, these two courses, and then go from there. That's not hard at all.
Okay. If you could just give us a date structure of when you would need them, and you could send that to Ellen, so that when they review the policy, that the information's getting to you in a time that makes sense.
So like on a standard basis, year by year? Like, that's it, okay, sure.
Yeah, well, right now, we have a policy that's in contradiction to what your needs are
Yep,
for printing the book.
okay.
Well, it just doesn't make sense. You can give us the dates that would make it so that it works for the publication that you need.
Sure.
We'll do that.
I can do that.
Any other discussion on postponing this to a January vote?
I have, is that list of classes available electronically? Or do we only print those?
Is that an electronic list or is that a printed list?
For the course book?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, is this something that we can update electronically, or do we just print it like
Well, there's two
dinosaur
things.
times?
We print it, but then there's also an electronic in Power School. So when we do the registrations, those courses are in Power School too. We got
And the students can see that, or no?
The counselors can see that with the students when they register. So,
But a parent and a student couldn't view that together at home?
the parents. They can see it.
They can, okay, okay.
They don't have the full description.
Well, that was my
of what
question.
got online.
I got elementary
But
kids.
they give a printed copy out in December and then the online is there. All right, all those in favor? Unanimous. Approval of amended policy 6041, use of private technology devices by students. Who wants to be the second? Ellen? Fiona, discussion? Dan?
I agree with the fact that we need the policy change, but without limiting the device operating systems, you will not get my vote on this. It is too much of a potential hazard.
I agree.
Any other
I
discussion?
agree with
Jeff?
Would it make sense to have two votes? One where we vote, yes, we want a policy, no, we don't want a policy. And then another where we vote, we want a policy as written or as a policy with the changes Dan suggested. Because I think we have people with three different opinions.
I could take a straw poll.
The motion is the
The motion that's
policy
currently
as
on the
presented.
table. Any other
Well,
discussion?
That's clearly not what is going to motivate some people to vote yes or
Well,
no.
here's the thing though, if this motion passes, then we're done. If it fails, someone could certainly make another motion.
Right.
Motion's on the floor, it needs to be voted.
Right. The motion on the floor either has to be retracted or voted. Any other discussion? All those in favor of motion to approve policy 6041? In favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. It passes as is. Vote in a tie. The chair votes in a tie, so it's 5-4. I can't force a tie
Okay.
by bylaw.
No, yeah, no, thank you.
Okay. Approval for classified ad to be placed for sale of a district-owned 2002 plow sander truck. Congratulations, by the way.
Second.
Fiona, who's the second?
Bill.
Which one do you?
All right, Bill's giving it to you. Fiona and Ellen. Discussion?
If we discussed this at budget, and then no uses, people just sitting up at the middle school, so
discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Andrew's opposed. Okay, I'm gonna try to get all these right for you, Dave. I'm gonna try.
Okay.
We have to make sure that these get into the minutes as they're written, so that we don't have to do this again, which is, it happens every time. Approval of ADA compliance interior project, Torrington High School educational specifications.
So moved.
Bill, second. Ellen. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. ADA compliance, a motion to approve ADA compliance interior project, Torrington High School. Approval to request that the city council establish a building committee for the project, naming David Becerra, Director of Facilities, as the building committee.
So moved.
Fiona, second? Who's first?
Bill?
Bill, okay. Bill, Fiona, discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Okay. A motion for the ADA compliance interior project, Torrington High School. Approval authorizing at least the preparation of schematic drawings and outline specifications for the proposed project. That one's Ellen, Fiona. Discussion. All those in favor? Unanimous again. Here we go. Whole new topic. The motion for approval of the ADA compliance interior project, Torrington High School. Approval authorizing the filing of the grant application. I'm going Fiona, Ellen on this one.
Okay, I'll second.
You guys have been tied the whole time. Discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous? Something different. A motion for approval of the ADA compliance interior project, Torrington High School. Approval for authorizing funding for the project.
So moved.
Ellen, second. Fiona, discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Consent agenda. Motion?
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda with an addition made to the October 14th budget for line item number 4, approving the minutes.
Hang on one second. Yes. You're okay. All right. Dan, what was that?
It doesn't say that we approved the minutes at the October 14th budget.
Okay.
So they're going to be retyped with it.
So you are amending, did you get the amendment?
Yes.
Would you entertain adding to your amendment
Sure.
that on the regular Board of Ed meeting minutes for October 21st, 2015, it says that we approved as a board the budget
Budget adjustment.
adjustments, but that was strictly the salary and staffing that was given to us. It was not the budget adjustments.
I'll make the amendment.
Did you get that one?
Yeah, yes.
Do we get a second to Dan's amended motion? Fiona, discussion. All those in favor? Unanimous. Comments for the good of the order. Andrew, we'll start with you.
Two things. One is, I'd like to know why I still don't see the AP test scores. Anyone? Okay. You know why?
You're making a comment. We'll get back to you.
Well, I
What would
made
you like?
that comment 2-3 months ago. Second comment is, I find it pretty disturbing that we had such a long discussion tonight, and Dan made some extremely valid points, and I don't think that the way the vote was conducted reflected the sentiment of what transpired. Maybe it did, but I find it kind of disturbing that someone who has been so intimately involved in this whole process, couldn't at least have his additions to that policy voted on up or down? Thank you.
Bill?
Yeah, I've been made aware of some issues pertaining to the policy on emergency lunches. So what I'm proposing is that as a topic for future meetings to discuss both the policy, its effectiveness, or lack thereof.
It's in the works.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anything else, Bill?
No.
Okay. Jess?
Two things. First, I would just like to say, and I know John was there as well, we attended the Vogel Whitmore had a Veterans Day celebration and breakfast for veterans, and they just did a fantastic job. I can't say enough about how well it was put together, everything, it was great, and it seemed like the people that were there really enjoyed it. It was very, very well done in every way. So I'd just like to congratulate the staff and the students at the school for doing that, reaching out to our community in that way. The second thing is, now that I know that half the stuff in our course manual doesn't really happen, I think we might want to look at that. And I know that's just a generalization, but if we want to attract people to our school, we want to make sure that they're coming here for the right reasons, and if they come here for a course that actually exists. So I don't know what that looks like, but just throwing that idea out there. And maybe when we look at these new courses, if we could see not what is in the manual, but what has actually been run for the last few years, that might give us a good idea of what is actually needed.
Jim?
Actually, I want to piggyback off Jess because I had something similar. Is there a way we can get a listing of the courses that are actually being taken and the number of students in the actual courses? Because if we find a course that only has 5 people sign up the semester, do we combine that with another course?
Okay. Anything else?
No. Okay. Sorry.
Ellen?
I'm also,
Fiona?
I just want to say how happy I am with the response we got from the teachers regarding serving on our subcommittees. It's a lot more than I expected we were going to get, so I hope we move on that and determine where they're all going to be placed soon.
Any parting comments?
Yes, actually. So first of all, the last 2 years has been super fun. Even though we spend a little more time together than probably we would like to. I have learned a great deal over the last 2 years and a great appreciation and gained a lot of perspective about really everything that goes on in town here. So I think overall the experience was fantastic. Chances are, years from now, I'll probably be back. For those that don't know, the decision was tough. I had to decide between this and Torrington Warrior football, and that's a decision I made. Initially, I did accept the nomination. I withdrew my name for those that didn't know how that went down. So now I have time to spend with those kids like they deserve, and also with my family. But like I said, I learned a lot. I feel that we've done a lot with all-day kindergarten. I feel very comfortable with how I'm leading things, with Linda taking charge and things of that nature. I'll be around. You guys will definitely see me.
Is that a threat?
Yes, yes, that and a promise.
Couldn't resist, Jeremy.
Yeah, you'll definitely be hearing a lot from Torrington Warriors in coming months. We have a lot of stuff going on right now, and I think my experiences here are serving that board and that group of parents extremely well, so farewell.
Thank you. Dan?
I would just like to thank Andrew, John, and everybody else for listening to me and my passions please on technology. It's been a fun run up till now, making sure everything was working correctly. And I promise as the voters put me back in here for another 4 years, I won't say it's here and say I told you so when it all comes crumbling down around you.
John?
Veterans Day ceremony at Torrington High School, also a great success. Air Force Junior ROTC put on a beautiful show, and the other parts of the ceremony were good as well. And Friday, the Volga Wetmore Family Learning Center has its open house from 8 to 10 for anyone who can show up for that. Could be fun. That's it.
I'd like to thank the two of you for being on the board, for your contributions and your knowledge. I would also like to thank Michael, this is his last board meeting as our board clerk. And unfortunately, I need someone to give me a motion to extend the meeting 10 minutes so we can get through the committee reports. You want a second? Did you second it? Discussion? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Jim, which way were you? 4. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Okay, 5 in favor, 4 against. Did you get rid of the 4 against me?
Yes.
Okay. Committee reports, budget.
Budget is actually scheduled another meeting for November 30th, immediately following John's meeting. The administration has been working on looking at all the items after closing out last year that could potentially be over budgeted or under budgeted, and trying to get all the staffing reports correct. Once we review those on the 30th, we'll be bringing them back to the full board assembly with some budget transfers.
Grievance.
We had no grievances. The grievances were closed out.
Very good. Personnel.
Obviously with the board clerk issue taken care of, that's off our table. And we're going to look forward to our reports, then putting together job descriptions for whatever the board decides.
Policy.
Busy.
Is that an industry term?
Yeah, protecting your not.
I think what I said earlier passes for both school improvement and THS oversight reports. As far as Ed Connection goes, meeting tomorrow night to refine the search committee's job over there for their our executive director. And other than that, electronic participation in the meeting in November, because it was in Danbury, they gave us from the North Country a chance to participate electronically. And December's meeting will be an electronic meeting as well, so nothing exciting going on. No January meeting, so nothing except searching going on there until February, by which time I would assume that a liaison would have been appointed. And I would urge that person to jump feet first. It's a good organization, and we interact a lot.
Turfield. Nothing? All right, items for upcoming agenda. We have financial statements, budget transfers, committee reports, AP test scores, a discussion on a policy for emergency lunches. I'll slow down for you, see you going over there. You up with me?
Yes.
Okay. THS course manual and enrollment reports. That's all I got so far. Future meetings, Wednesday, well, we got November 30th, we have school improvement at 6, we have budget at 7. December 2nd, we have policy. Are you doing another school improvement, or that one's
I
moved?
think we may have to adjourn both of those meetings until the 2nd also. From the 30th, we may just adjourn until that
Okay.
second date rather than adjourn.
All right, so we'll keep that on.
Keep that on the.
All right, the 7th will be, at 7 on the 2nd will be school improvement, and at 8 o'clock THS Oversight Committee. Wednesday, December 9th, 6 o'clock personnel, 6:30 budget. Wednesday, December 16th is our next fun-filled regular Board of Education meeting. Motion to adjourn. We gotta get this,
Second.
Jeremy, you want the motion to?
I'll take the motion.
John,
if
you want the
that's okay.
second?
No.
Okay. All right, who else seconded? All those in favor? I'm assuming it's unanimous.